As I can tell from the title, I'm going to be changing out my chain on my Daytona 675R. It's missing a roller there. It's missing a roller here as well. And then it's just tight and loose on different parts of the chain. And my bike does have 21,000 miles on it. It has never had a chain change, sprocket change, either of those. So I might as well do it now. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get on with it. So first things first, I'm gonna have to disconnect my gear shift lever, or not lever, but gear shift link, so I can get to this box right here and also this bolt. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that real quick. So for these tiny bolts here, 1 and 2, I'm using a 8mm socket. Just a heads up, be mindful that for your gear shift link, there's a little dot here. It needs to line up perfectly with the little gap right there. So just keep that in mind. And then this is also an 8mm socket. So let me go ahead and take that off. Side note, so before you take this off, you want to take this bottom piece off the ball joint. It'll make it way much easier to take this off. So remember, take this off first. I used some pliers, but I will use a different set because I made up some scratches on it. But yeah, take this off first, and then you can take off this upper part. So once you get the cover off, all you do is just literally slide it down and wiggle it out. You're gonna need a 36mm axle nut, all right? So since I'm here alone, what I did was get on the other side of the bike, hold down the rear brake, like really hard, got my breaker bar, and just went to the left with it. It wasn't that hard actually. I thought I was gonna have more of an issue. Also, you're gonna want to open up this part here because it's gonna be spindled in, if that makes sense. Like, you're gonna want to push that back out, but you guys will see what I mean later on. But once you got it loose, you can go ahead and take this part out. All right guys, so next thing I'm gonna do is loosen up the rear sprocket bolts, just so that I have an easier time taking it off when I get the wheel off. So let me go ahead and do that. These are gonna be 14mm sockets. All right, now that I got them loose, I'm gonna go ahead and get my axle nut loose. The axle nut is a 27mm socket, so let me go ahead and do that. All right, got my rear sprocket loose, got my axle nut loose. Now all I need to do is just break the chain. Chain breaker, it's a 36-inch. Let's go ahead and do that. Whew. Now that that's broken, we can go ahead and take it off. All right, now that I got the chain off, I can take off the rear wheel and then take off the rear sprocket. But first, I want to put this on first, the front sprocket. Also, I noticed that I kind of bought a different size sprocket. This is a 16 tooth. The one that I just took out is a 15 tooth. Yeah, 15 tooth. And this was back in 2011. That's crazy. But yeah, and as you can see, it looks totally different. It definitely looks bigger. Yeah, looks totally different. But it's fine. Go ahead and put it on. Alright guys, so I cleaned the area up a little bit. It's gonna get dirty again, so I just cleaned up where the front sprocket sits. Put the washer back on, cleaned it up as well. I'm not gonna tighten it yet, but I'm gonna go ahead and take the wheel off now. Take the sprocket off, switch it out. So let me go ahead and do that. Got the tire off. Once you take the tire off, be mindful of your brake. So got the sprocket off. Make sure when you put it back on that the dented part that's in goes in first. Just like that. And one of my bolts came out. All right. So to tighten up the rear sprocket bolts, it's going to be 55 millimeters. Let's go ahead and do that. So once you tighten up the bolts, make sure you do it in a star pattern. You can go ahead and put on your wheel. I greased up my axle nut, or sorry, my axle, I forgot what it's called, my axle stick. So I'm gonna go ahead and put on the wheel. All right, I replaced the front sprocket, rear sprocket, got the bolts tied down. I have not tied down the rear axle nut just yet because I might need to adjust the chain slack, so we'll see. But this is a 525 chain. Let's go ahead and get it popped on. So it's gonna be a little bit difficult. This chain is greased up pretty well. This up, slide it over, keep it moving over the rear sprocket. So it does come with connecting links, so let me go ahead and open that. So we got some grease, some rubber washers, looks like, I guess the seals. Well, actually, yeah, these are seals. Back plate, and then the front plate. So what I'm gonna do is open up the grease around the edges on both sides. Pop this in on one side, and then on the other side as well, right there. So let me go ahead and do that. Put that in. And then put the other washer in, or sorry, the seal. I keep calling it washer. Then bring this in. Okay, so that's not going to stay until I press it using a chain tool. I got this chain tool. Let me break it up for you guys. Comes with this back plate, also a back plate, and this tool. So there's two blocks, one with a hole, one with just no holes. The one with the holes goes into the right side. The one without the hole goes into the left side. So I almost forgot. This tool actually comes with a handle. As you can see, handle, screw it onto the back here. Works like a charm. But I'm almost done lining up. I don't know if you guys can see it. The chain is almost lining up with the rest of the stock chain. So I'm gonna keep on tightening it, and it is pretty hard. You gotta put a lot of force into it and be very careful as well not to break anything. But yeah, this lever's very handy. All right guys, last tool of the day. Pretty much gonna be using the same tool. Make sure you put the handle on. This anvil, it needs to fit literally like just like this. just like that, but on this side of the chain. Gonna be needing this as well, and then this middle part. So this is a 2.9 millimeter riveter, and when you rivet it, it pretty much expands it so that it measures the same size as the other rivets. But let me go ahead and show you guys how to do it. So this piece goes in like this on the left side, and then this piece goes in just like that, and then this piece goes in just like that. And then you just put it over, make sure it's flush on, and then you just press, and then you just turn this to the right. You're gonna have to measure it. I personally don't have anything to measure it, so I'm just gonna be eyeballing it pretty much. But yeah, make sure you do even turns on both sides. I did 3 on one side. I'm gonna do 3 on the other side now. All right guys, got my chain tightened. Got the rear sprocket on, or sorry, the axle nut on. Now I'm going to tighten up the front sprocket. It calls for 62 pounds of torque. So let me go ahead and do that. And then we can finally put the cover back on, and then the gear shift link, and it will be all done actually. But yeah, let me go ahead and pop that in. All right, last thing to do, pretty much create a rivet for the sprocket so that it doesn't come loose, which is always interesting. All right, I think I'm happy with that. So now we can go ahead and put on the sprocket cover back on. When you're putting this back on, be mindful that there are some wires that should be fitting in between the gap here. So be mindful of that. So fair warning, getting the sprocket on, or sprocket cover on, is a bit tough. But last step guys, getting this thing on. Should be fairly simple. Make sure that the little dot right there matches with the gap right there, and then you should be done. All right y'all, there we have it. Everything seems to be good. I'm gonna take it on a ride later on, make sure that nothing falls off or breaks or anything like that. If you guys made it to the end, make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. If you have any questions, drop them. See you guys in a bit. Peace out.